Okay, today we're going to start Bais. I'm in Bais. We start at the Mishnah. So the halach is a firstborn donkey. You have two options. Firstborn donkey. You give it to the Kayan, or you redeem it with a sheep. Or if you don't want to redeem it, then you have to break the neck. So here's someone that wants to redeem it, and he's hamafresh. We're at the Mishnah on Yud Bais. Hamafresh pidyon petach hamar hames. He separates a sheep to redeem his firstborn donkey. The sheep dies. So Rabbi Eliezer Merchayavim Bachri say kechamish lam shel ben. He is responsible to replace that sheep and to redeem his firstborn donkey again. Just like, let's say he had a firstborn son. He separates 5 coins to redeem his son, to make the pidyon ben, and he loses the coins. Well, he didn't do the mitzvah, so he has to separate another 5 coins. So the same thing here. He had a sheep, the sheep gets lost, it dies, so he has to separate again. Chacham say you're not responsible. It's like redeeming Meiser Sheni. If you separate coins for Meiser Sheni is the 10th that's taken to Jerusalem to eat. If you separate coins to bring to Jerusalem instead of the fruits, because sometimes it's hard to carry all the fruits, so you separate minted coins. That these coins are going to take to Jerusalem, and in Jerusalem you're going to purchase food with these coins, but you lose those coins. You don't have to replace them.
That's for yourself.
It's for yourself.
That's for others. You just said it's a different story. Yeah?
So there's a machlokes here. What is pidyon petach hamar? According to Rabbi Eliezer, pidyon hamar is compared to the redemption of a firstborn son. And according to the Chachamim, it's compared to Meiser Sheni. Does he want to join us? Rabbi Sandman.
When they would mint the coins, is that Israeli coins?
It has to be minted. I'm not sure which coins, but it has to be minted.
Because I'm saying if it's minted, which sounds like therefore to be used in Israel, then whoever would find it would end up using it there. So whereas you can't use the dead animal.
Oh.
No dead animals.
Let's say it fell in the ocean. Okay, so we have a machlekes here. If it doesn't reach the hands of the Kayan, what's your responsibility? That's a machlekes Rabbi Eliezer and Chacham. Heid Rabbi Yeshua for Rabbi Tzadok. Rabbi Yeshua and Rabbi Tzadok testified, Al pidyon petach hamar shemeis she'ein kan l'kayin klum. They testified that the rule was like the sages, that if it doesn't reach the hands of the Kayan, you're fine. As long as you separated it, you did your part, if it gets lost, it's fine. Rabbi Yeshua and Rabbi Tzadok are both around the time of the temple. So Rabbi Yeshua, they were the ones, Rabbi Yeshua and Rabbi Eliezer were the ones that carried Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai out, Vespasian, to meet Vespasian. Rabbi Tzadok is here, he's the one that fasted. So it's the end of the... Rabbi Yeshua maybe his teeth turned black.
It was Rabbi Tzadok.
No, Rabbi Tzadok fasted.
He fasted
because for 40 years. Someone else fasted. Maybe Rabbi Yeshua fasted because his tefillin turned over, or because he went against the sages with his donkey. Went out with something on it, with a string on it or something. Okay.
Were they Kohanim?
Rabbi Yeshua was a Levi, and Rabbi Tzadok, I believe, was a Kohen. Yeah, Rabbi Yeshua was clearly a Levi.
I asked because the Chachamim are looking at the loss to the owner, and the sages are looking at the gain to the Kohen.
I hear you. And here they're going with the loss to the owner. They are, So that's a good point. That's a good point. Rabbi Eliezer, the Rebbe says, is a Levi. Rabbi Eliezer, okay. Rabbi Eliezer is Rabbi Eliezer ben Horkenes. Now, Meis Petech Hamar. Let's say the actual donkey died, the firstborn donkey dies. So, Rabbi Eliezer Eimer Yikaver. Rabbi Eliezer says that you have to bury it. Umuter ba'nasi shel tleh. The sheep that you had separated, you're allowed to use now. The sheep that you had separated, you're allowed to use. The sages say, no, you don't have to bury it. And the sheep goes to the kohen. Now, at first I had a difficult time putting together, there's so many like random opinions here, how do you combine this together? Then I see the Shita Mekubetzes brings one line that clarifies the whole thing. He says that there's a Lishitase here. It's one opinion. According to Rabbi Eliezer, if it doesn't get to the kohen, then you didn't do anything. So according to him, you separated the sheep. In the Petech Hamar, the firstborn donkey died, that's a regular Petech Hamar. The sheep is still nothing, because he never reached the hands of the kohen. According to the sages, once you separate it, you already did the mitzvah. Once you designated the sheep, you did the mitzvah. So therefore, the Petech Hamar is not a Petech Hamar anymore. So therefore, the Chachamim say, Ein tzarich likaver. The sheep, you still owe it to the kohen. So it all has to do with, is it your separation or is it reaching the hands of the kohen? Amar Rabbi Yosef. Rabbi Yosef says, we have a machlekes Rabbi Eliezer and the Chachamim, if the sheep needs to reach the kohen in order for you to not be responsible anymore for this mitzvah, this obligation. My time at the Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Yosef says, what's the reason for Rabbi Eliezer? It says in the pasuk, Ach padei sifte, but you shall redeem. Ma b'char adam chayav b'achar yusai. So we're comparing it to the redemption of a firstborn son. Just like a firstborn son, if you lose the 5 coins, you separated them. You went to the bank, you got the 5 coins for the pidyon haben, but you lose them. So you're responsible. You have to go back and get more coins. So also the redemption of a firstborn non-kosher animal, the donkey. You're responsible to go replace those coins until it reaches the hands of the kohen. The mitzvah was not performed. That's the source for Rabbi Eliezer for this that he requires you to replace the sheep. Amalei Abaya. Abaya is talking to Rabbi Yosef now. Rabbi Yosef is the teacher. On the Amarayim chart, this is Rabbi Yosef. Rabbi Yosef is here, and Abaya is a student. And very, very common for them to talk. Abaya says to Rabbi Yosef, Ima b'charad mutar ba'ana, af b'char behemet me'am mutar. Let's say someone never did a pidyon haben. So the guy walks around in the street the whole day, he was never redeemed. You're allowed to do business with him. He is allowed to be a worker for you. There's no prohibition of having benefit from him. If that's the case, that we're comparing a Petech Hamar, firstborn donkey, to B'char Adam, we should say also that if the firstborn donkey was not redeemed, you could still work it. You could still use it to carry your things. So, and if you say that, yeah, sure, no problem, you could still work it. But it was taught in the Mishnah, Meis Petech Hamar, that if the firstborn donkey dies, Rabbi Eliezer Yikaver, you have to bury it because it was never redeemed. So why do you have to bury it? Because you're not allowed to have benefit from it. That means that an unredeemed donkey, we had this before, it's Machlekes Rabbi Yehuda and Reb Shimon, if you don't redeem it, if you're allowed to work it, if you're allowed to get benefit from it before it's redeemed. We're assuming here that Rabbi Eliezer holds like Rabbi Yehuda, that it's prohibited to get any benefit from. The problem is that Rabbi Eliezer is comparing the redemption of the donkey to the firstborn child. And by a firstborn child, you're allowed to get benefit from it, and we want the comparison to be a perfect comparison. But we're separating it from when it comes to getting benefit. So, what does it mean that you have to bury it according to Rabbi Eliezer? Ma yikaver, lav daser ba'ana. It means that it's prohibited to have any benefit from that, so you put it in the ground. Where it says loy, that's not why. You could have benefit from it. Yikaver ki b'char adam. The comparison is perfect. If a child, God forbid, would die, firstborn child would die, you'd have to bury it. So here also you bury it. Not because you can't have, it's not the rule and benefit, it's because that's what you do to a human.
So now we gotta bury them.
So now we have to bury the first because of this comparison. Ella, the Gemara asks, what do you mean?
Only a Bechor.
A firstborn needs to be buried, and not a regular child doesn't need to doesn't need to be buried. Why are you making this comparison to the firstborn? In other words, there's nothing unique about a firstborn that requires the burial. That's not a comparison. Compared to a human, but not to a firstborn. If that's the halacha that we're getting from the comparison. V'oid, another issue. V'oid Tanya was also taught in the Bais of Meidu Rabbi Eliezer b'Yisrael sheish le'safik petach amar b'teich beisai shema f'shtla alav v'shalai. You have a clear brisa. Let's say someone has a donkey, female donkey that hasn't given birth, that hasn't had offspring, and has a male and a female. We don't know which one was first. So that's called a suffix. So you have to redeem. One of them came out first, so it may have been the male. So what you do is you take a sheep and you separate it, but you don't actually give it to the Kohen, because the Kohen's going to have to, like you said, what did you say? Hamaitzi. Hakayin is the Maitzi Mechaver Al-Avrai. The Kohen has to prove that the male one is the one that came out first, and that's what belonged to him. Why do you have to separate? Let the Kohen come in and prove it. Why do you have to separate a sheep? The answer is because until you separate the sheep, you can't use this donkey for anything. You can't have benefit from it. Aha! You can't have benefit from a firstborn donkey. That in Rabbi Eliezer says that. So that means that we're not really comparing it to Bechor Adam, because a child that was never redeemed, you're allowed to have benefit from it. So it's a problem here with this comparison. Ela Marava, rather Rava says, Amarkra ach padesifte, that you shall redeem, the same pasuk as before, but liptia hikashtiv leila davaracher. The comparison is only regarding redemption. Only redemption is the same as human, but not any other halachas. I guess we understood something like that.
This whole conversation was a drag. Because you're asking, what do we do with an animal? And I started asking, but it's not this, it's not that. An animal, a human being has 2 legs and a donkey has 4 legs. Not a perfect comparison, but that's not what the question was.
You're right. Maybe that's what Abaya was trying to bring out, to clarify that what exactly is this comparison. Because Rabbi Yosef gave it very generally. You have a good point. Tanan Hassam.
Has to do with his money, that's why.
You think differently, right?
Yeah, he's a lot sharper than all of us.
Right. Tanan Hassam. It was taught over there in the Mishnah. The comment on the bottom, I believe, is from Rabbi Shaya Pick. He says that this is not a Mishnah. It's a brisa. It says like this. Listen to this. It says, Ha'arachin. If someone says, he pledges that I'm going to give the value of this person to the Beis HaMikdash. Okay? B'shaitan. So it's given according to the time that he made the pledge. Why? The value of a person is based on the person's age. In between 1 month and 5 years, and then it goes up. Every age has a different value. So the b'shaitan, it's given according to the time of the pledge. Upidyan aben acher shleishim yom. Pidyan aben is done after 30 days. Pidyan petach hamar la'alter. A firstborn donkey, the redemption is done immediately. The Gemara asks, Pidyan hamar la'alter? It's given immediately. Alter is confusing for people that speak Yiddish, because in Aramaic it means immediately, and in Yiddish it means old. But anyway.
Which word?
Alter. Yeah, right, Alter l'tshuva. So, Pidyan, the Gemara is challenging. It says Pidyan haben is done after 30 days. Pidyan petach hamar is done immediately, when the donkey is born. Gemara says Raminhu. We can pose a contradiction here, because ein be'erchen u'bepidyan haben u'benazir u'petach hamar pachas mishleishim. It says that erchen which is when you give the value of a person to the temple. Nazirus, someone takes on himself the vow of to be a Nazir, or a firstborn donkey, is none of these things are less than 30 days. But Meisif and Adailam, and you can add to them. It means you can add to Nazirus. You can add to Erechim. It means if a person's older, you can still pledge. You don't add to the value of a Pidyon Haben and a Petach Hamar. The price doesn't go up later, unless the price of silver changes. But for the other things, you can add. So, but our problem is that it says that you don't do a Pidyon Petach Hamar, you don't redeem the donkey before 30 days. And before we said that you redeem it immediately, la'alter. Rav Nachman says, Loimar Shim Padoi, Padoi. What it means to say, yes, you're supposed to wait 30 days. But if you did it before, you were Yaitzer. Michlal, that implies, because there was a contrast between a Pidyon Haben and a Pidyon Petach Hamar. Pidyon Haben was 30 days. Pidyon Petach Hamar was Lialter. What does Rav Nachman say Lialter means? Not that you're supposed to do it, but if you did it, it works. That means that Pidyon Haben does not work, because that's the contrast. Zubenoyim Padi Einim Padi. That if you do a Pidyon Haben too early, it doesn't work. Vayitmar, but it was taught a statement of Amirayim. Hapoide es benoi b'teich lamed yaim Rav Amar benoi Padi. Rav says that it does work if someone did it too early. Does a Pidyon Haben before the 30 days. So we have a contradiction here. If someone does a Pidyon Haben too early, according to Rav, it's clear that it does not work. According to Rav, it's clear that it does work. According to the way we're learning what we call the Bais, it does not work. So the Gemara explains, Lavit Marallah was not stated regarding that. Amarava the Kuli Alma Miachshavim B'nai Padi. See, when Rav said that it worked, he didn't say that it was taking effect right now. What he was doing was he was giving the money. And he was saying, here's the money for the redemption of my son next month. He was giving the money too early. But he wasn't saying that it was taking effect immediately. Everyone would agree that if he gives the money and wants it to take effect right now, so that it doesn't work because it's too early. He just wants to lock in on the price of silver. He sees the silver market's going up. Rav Shesha says, Leimar she'ina oiver alav. Rav Shesha switches this all around. Rav Shesha says, people want to do the mitzvah right away. We're on top of page Yud Gimel. People want to do the mitzvah right away. But you have 30 days to do the mitzvah right away. You don't violate the law of not redeeming your son until 30 days pass. Yes, it works. But when are you over? In other words, Rav, we're going to take literally that you can redeem it before 30 days. It's after 30 days that the prohibition comes in that, 1 second, you didn't redeem your son. He switches the whole thing around. So we have two answers here. We have Rav Nachman and Rav Sheshes.
Is there any difference between that a human before 30 days is not considered viable because he's more delicate,
right?
Whereas an animal, you see after like a couple of days he's already standing up and walking around.
Right.
Maybe he's more, has the
Okay,
status.
so how would that fit in?
Of a living
Let me see.
being.
Pidyon Petach Hamar is lialter, and Pidyon Haben is after 30 days. That's clearly a way to remember this. That an animal is viable, is assumed to be healthy immediately. It fits. Okay. Masav Rami Bar Chama. Rami Bar Chama has a question. Mitzvah se kol shleishim yayim. The mitzvah is to redeem the child all 30 days. Petach Hamar, it has to be. It's a mitzvah to redeem the Petach Hamar, the firstborn donkey, all 30 days. Mikan ve'elach, after the 30 days. I paideyu, if he redeems him, oh, so 1 second, I have to go
He
back to Rav
either
Sheshis.
redeems
1
him
second,
or he-
I have to go back to Rav Sheshis. Rav Sheshis' answer was that the mitzvah of Pidyon Aben is immediately, and after 30 days begins not Pidyon Petech Hamar begins immediately. That wasn't clear. Pidyon Petech Hamar begins immediately. That's what it means la'alter. And after 30 days, that's when the violation is that 1 second you didn't redeem it. That's what Rav Sheshis means. So then back to B'nai Padoi, I can still learn that Rav says that you're not supposed to redeem a child before 30 days. Okay, I'm sorry. Rav Sheshis is referring to the Pidyon Petech Hamar, that's done immediately, and after 30 days, then that's when you say, "Oh, 1 second, you didn't fulfill your obligation here." Pidyon Aben is 30 days. Starts after 30 days. Now, Rami Bar Chama asks the question: you're talking about Pidyon Petech Hamar that it's all 30 days. It starts right away. Mitzvah kol shleishim yayim. Mikan ve'elech, after the 30 days, oy peideyo ayarfo, you either redeem it or you break the neck. My love, mitzvah l'shaisei kol shleishim yayim. What does it mean the mitzvah is all 30 days and after the 30 days you redeem it? It means the mitzvah is to hold it for 30 days. What does the mitzvah say? You can't say the mitzvah is to redeem it and then say and afterwards you redeem it. Right?
No, why can't you say that? Why can't you say he could do it early, but by 30 days, guess what? At that point, if you didn't redeem it, you have to break the neck.
The Gemara says, like, mitzvah liftaisei kol shleishim yom. The mitzvah is to redeem it all 30 days. So 1 second. The Gemara challenges that. He says, Yihachi. So what does it mean, mikan ve'elach? From then and on, after the 30 days. Ipeideyo, ay over alav mi ba'elei. After the 30 days, he either redeems it or he violates the law. Not he either redeems it. You see, the choice of redeeming it or breaking the neck, if you didn't want to give the sheep to the kohen, so you just break the neck, but that choice is immediately you have that choice. That's not, okay, here's your deadline, right? Your deadline is either you redeem it, break the neck, or you violate it. But that the choice was immediately. If you don't want to give anything to the kohen, then you just break the neck of the firstborn donkey. So, Elam Rava, rather Rava says, like kasha, it's not a problem. Rabbi Lezer de makshi, Rabbanan de le makshi. Makshi means compare. Rabbi Lezer compared the firstborn child to the firstborn donkey. And according to Rabbi Lezer, you wait 30 days to redeem the firstborn donkey, just like a human. And according to the Rabbanan, who doesn't make that comparison, the donkey you can do immediately. So over here, this brisa, this tesefta that Rami Bar Chama is quoting, that says that after the 30 days, you do the redemption. So that's going according to Rabbi Lezer that says you wait 30 days. It's true according to the Rabbanan, you don't have to wait 30 days. These brises that we quoted before was the Rabbanan. Okay. The Mishnah now says, Lei ratza liftaisei. If he doesn't want to redeem the donkey, he doesn't want to give the sheep to the kohen. So Urfei me'achayrav v'koivrei. He breaks the neck from the back and then he buries it. Mitzvah sabadiyah kidemis l'mitzvah sarifa. Which one should he do? So he should do the redemption. That comes first, before breaking the neck. Shenemar imlei sifte varafte. If you don't redeem it, then you break the neck.
But it's optional.
You have the option, but which one is preferable? Is the redemption.
Both of them are a mitzvah.
Yeah. But which one should you do? Is as we'll see in the next examples. Mitzvah siyida kidemis l'mitzvah sapidiyah. If someone has a Jewish maidservant, so he has the option of marrying her to him or to his sons, or letting her go free. And the mitzvah is to marry her before letting her go free. That mitzvah comes first. Shenemar asher lo yada. If he doesn't marry her, then vehefta, then he redeems her. Which means that it's better for him to do that marriage, to marry that maidservant. Mitzvah Sayyibim Kaidemis the Mitzvah Chalitza. Someone's, if the husband dies and they didn't have children, so there's a mitzvah for the woman, for the wife, to marry the husband's brother. Or they can do Chalitza.
This is on the brother.
Mitzvah's on the brother. Mitzvah's on the brother. She can reject it. She can reject it, right? So which mitzvah comes first? The Mishnah says the mitzvah of Yibam comes first. Barishayna Hashayim Eskavim L'Shem Mitzvah. That was originally. You see, it says Lahakim Shem Achiv, to establish his brother's name. If his intention for the marriage is to establish the brother's name, so then that mitzvah comes. The mitzvah of Yibam comes first. But now that they don't have the right intention when they get married to the sister-in-law, so Amro mitzvah chalitza kaidemes mitzvah Yibam. So we switched it. We said that chalitza comes first. Mitzvah haguula ba'adain hu kaidem lakal adam. Let's say someone consecrates something to the temple, so he can then redeem it, or anyone else can redeem it. But the mitzvah of the owner it's a mitzvah on the owner to redeem it. If it's not redeemed, then it gets sold. So what we're learning here is that if it anywhere in the Torah where it says, and if he doesn't, then that means that he's supposed to do that first option. That's the priority.
Just to go back for a second. What do we conclude in the last one? He has to replace it or he doesn't have to replace it?
It's machlekes Rabbi Lezer and
We
Chachamim.
don't have a conclusion.
The halacha is usually like the Chachamim, that he's not responsible. He's not responsible.
Actually,
Yeah, don't ask the question if you don't want the answer.
He's not responsible?
He's not responsible. Usually it's like the Chachamim.
So somebody came to the Vilna Gaon once and he challenged the statement that everything is found in the Torah. And he said, where do you find Pidyon Ben? He said, you find it in the first word of the Torah. Ben Rishon Akar Shaloshim Yamin Tipadeh.
So everything is found in Bereshis? In Bereshis. Very cute.
How did you remember that? Ben Shloshim Achar. Ben Rishon Achar Shloshim.
My head is full of useless facts.
That's a useful fact.
Okay, so Hajjan Lachalakiyacha B'chamer, we finished the first parak and Bli Neder to return to it.
Look at it.
The second parak, in general, some things in Bechoros, they throw us back into Bab Mitzvah, into business law, as you'll see. If someone purchases the fetus of a cow, we're done with Petach Hamar. Now we're on a kosher animal. The firstborn of a kosher animal is a korban. So if someone buys the fetus of a kosher animal, of a cow, but he's buying it off, the animal belongs to a non-Jew. But Hamaichalai, if someone sells to him, to a non-Jew, the fetus, you're not supposed to sell a large animal to a non-Jew. There's two reasons given. One is
Yisrael or in general?
in general. One is because
Shulim al Arayos.
you remember from Avodah Zarah? It talks about that, but even not for that, it has to do with Shabbos. One is that you may end up, if you sell it to him, you may end up lending it to him, and your animals have to rest on Shabbos. Your animals have to rest on Shabbos, not your utensils, not your car, but your animals need to rest on Shabbos, and the other reason is that you may sell it to him before Shabbos and go outside and make it go to by calling after it and by telling it to move. And on Shabbos, you're not allowed to cause your animal to move outside the property. Mechamer. So for those two reasons, you're not supposed to sell a non-Jew. Both of them are Shabbos laws. So here, The Mishnah.
There was another reason because you have a business transaction with this guy. You're gonna bring him to swear by his Zara.
Oh, that has to do with, in general, being a partner. In general, you're not supposed to make a business partnership with the guy because he may end up swearing. Here, specifically, the large animal was because it does work. Large animals do work. Okay, here, exactly. Or you make a partnership with him. One of the things that you would do is you would, like a property manager, here you would have an animal manager that he would manage the animals, and some of the offspring he would keep. So if someone is the animal manager of a large cow, he's going to keep some of the offspring, so he's a partner in it. Or the opposite. He makes the non-Jew the manager of his animals. And again, it would be the same arrangement. All of those is pater min ha-bechor, is exempt from the firstborn being a carbon. Shenemar b'Yisrael. The pasuk says, any firstborn amongst the Jews, avalei ba'acherim, but not if it belongs to a non-Jew.
This is similar to the Petach Hamon.
Yeah.
Begin.
Yeah. V'akayinim v'alavim chayavim. Kayinim and Levim are exempt. Here it's different. A Kayin and a Levi don't have to redeem the firstborn child. They don't have to redeem the Petach Hamar, the firstborn donkey. But if they have a firstborn cow, that has to go as a sacrifice. You follow? My area, the Gemara asks, my area, the Tani Uber Chamari Beresha, Vahadi Tani Uber Parase. Why did we start this Masechta with discussing the non-kosher animal and then getting to the kosher animal? Listening Beresha Uber Parase. Start with the kosher animal. Why? The Kedusha Sagufu, because this is a sacrifice. Vahadi listening Uber Chamari, and then discuss the non-kosher animal, the Kedusha Damim, because that's just a value. The value is sanctified, but the animal, you don't bring the sheep or the firstborn donkey as a sacrifice. It's just the value that goes to the kohen. So Amri b'Marava, they said in the west, which is Israel, Iba Yisema Aidi deChaviv Alei Rabbi Chanina. That has a special halacha. They asked Rabbi Chanina asked. Rabbi Eliezer in Bais Meisava, remember this? Bais Meisava Rabbi, in the big Bais Medrash Hagadol on Daf Hey, Rabbi Chanina asked him. He says, why is the firstborn donkeys different than the firstborn horses and camels? So Rabbi Eliezer responded, or Rabbi Lazar maybe. He says it's exactly